tells us, insofar as it depends on you, be at peace with all people. Sometimes you can only do all that you can do. And you can go this far, and the person doesn't want anything, and they turn the other direction. You do what you can do. So we all know we live in a fallen world, and even in the church, even among Christians, relationships break down. Paul and Barnabas separate for a time. That happens. But the goal, and what Jesus prays for us, isn't it amazing? Of all the things, looking to the future, that he could pray for those who will believe through the witness of the disciples, says, this is what's uppermost in my mind. I want them to be one. I want them to be unified. And this brings us into the mystery and the inner recesses of the Trinity. He says, just as you and I, Father, are one. The Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are one essence, equal in glory, rank, and power, and yet they are three persons. There are all sorts of important theological planks to help us understand the Trinity, and we don't have time to do that here. What I want you to understand is that the oneness of the Trinity is not like three friends coming together in a big hug. Sometimes we think of Father, he's over here hanging out, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit. They are not three existences. The technical language is three subsistences. Sharing one essence, think the same godness, and yet they're distinguished as Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. What you can say about the Father, and not about the Son and the Spirit, is that the Father is the Father who begets the Son. And what you can say about the Son is he is begotten of the Father. And what you can say of the Spirit, but not of the other two, is that he proceeds from the Father and the Son. I'll give you a technical theological term. In Greek, it's called perichoresis. Perichoresis. In Latin, it's circumcision, but perichoresis. It refers to what Jesus is praying here, referring to the mutual indwelling of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. When we talk about the Trinity, analogies don't work. So as soon as you say, well, it's like an apple, just heresy alert, okay, just don't. It's very hard because it's not irrational, but it's supra-rational. There are things in the Christian faith, they're not unreasonable, but they are beyond reason. So we're not believing in contradictions, but we do believe in things that we say we can't fully explain, and the Trinity is one of them. But this notion, which Jesus hints at here, later theologians have called perichoresis, means that the oneness of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit is not a social three buddies hanging out, but rather that those three persons, to put it in language that is dangerous, you might say they all occupy the same divine space. Now, it's dangerous there because it's not actually space as we think of it. But what perichoresis wants to guard against is looking through your divine yearbook and flipping and say, there's the Father. The Father is that next to him in chemistry. And flip over here, and there's the Son. Remember the Son. And then over here, and there's the Holy Spirit. Rather than we're looking at the same God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, and yet they're not just modes of being like water, ice, and vapor. They're not just different names for the same person. They're one God. They operate and occupy the same space. Or another metaphor, and they're all dangerous, but some of the church fathers use the language of circulation. Blood circulating through your body, that the divine essence circulates through Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, and that the Father and the Son circulate in and through the Spirit, and the Spirit and the Son in and through the Father, so that where one is, you have the inseparable work of the other. So Jesus is saying more than just, hey, I want you to be really tight, like Father, Son, and Holy Spirit are just